What's up, Line Golf Academy members and guests? Welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at Cassie Porter. Now I see her on the leaderboard, and this is her second event on the LPGA Tour, and she is up there. So I never saw her name before. Let's just take a look at her swing. Now I couldn't find that many videos. In fact, I found a video with somebody's banana in the way, but we're going to have to use it because we only have a select few, and maybe that's a good name for our yellow line, Banana Yellow. And speaking of which, guess who survived 2 polls that you guys filled out? The green line is now officially known as Gumby Green. So thank you for all those who voted, and maybe we should do a yellow vote. So let me know what you think the yellow line should be called, and then I think we're done with all the lines. I just have to remember all of them. But let's get started. Let's take a look at her swing. I've never seen her swing before. We're gonna watch it together. We're gonna look at her cause and effect and see if there's some things that you can maybe pick up on for your golf swing, or maybe I can pick up on something like this. I could shave, throw on a skirt, play on the LPGA Tour. Nah. So taking a look at her stats, and keep in mind these are baby stats. She's only played in one event. This is her second event this week. She's playing pretty well, so hopefully she'll do really good. You take a look at her driving accuracy, it's 65. Her greens in regulation of 55%. Those are a little low, although the driving accuracy is about average. The one area I really want you guys to look at and really pay attention to, and it's so overlooked, is this greens hit from fairway percentages. When you hit the fairway in regulation, she's hitting 72% of her greens in regulation. When she misses it, it's 30%. That's a huge difference, and it's the same thing for the amateurs. So you have to think about just sacrificing a little bit of difference to get it in the fairway, because your odds just jump straight through the roof. Instead of arm wrestling Mrs. Havenkamp, which let me tell you, she's got some Popeye forearms from all those gin and tonics she's been. Okay, so Cassie Porter is on the screen, and look who I got here. In honor of our new line, we got, oh man, look at that. Don't want to do that. All right, so let's take a look at this swing. And I've never seen this before. I just popped these up, and so far it looks pretty aggressive. I do notice she has pretty long, strong legs, so this might have a lot to do with her motion. Specifically, look at that left side. It's a long lower body. I don't see a lot of lateral slide, which is a good thing. This is, very centered. Not that much motion moving back and forth. Look how quiet the foot is on that left side. So, you know what? This is going to be a fun little swing to look at. So let's just do this one by one. Let's use banana, because I think banana is going to be the fun one to do. And as expected, we're not going to see a lot of videos just because this is her second event on the LPGA Tour. But I suspect we're going to see more and more videos. So we will definitely come back to her once we can get it down the line. But let's start out. You know what? Instead of using Barney Purple, we're going to use honorary Gumby Green to take a look at where that shaft is going right through. And this is an unusual setup, but now we're going to use the Barney Purple for the shoulder tilt, and this is not normal, specifically for the best in the world. Now, amateurs, I'm in favor of this, and what I'm talking about is getting that shaft lean towards your right shoulder, because that's just going to help you promote hitting the ball up. I see far too many amateurs getting that forward press from here, and that's just a recipe for disaster with our average bodies that we have. And we're going to do mellow yellow on the right side, and then we'll do Ivan red and talk about that centeredness. So ideally, her ball position right now should be more centered. And if it was more centered, she'd probably still hit it just as well. But there must be a reason why she's back pressing this slightly. And we'll have to look at her cause and effect. But that's just to show you. And if you do watch this, you know my idea here. Basically, what you're doing is you're setting this angle the same as your starting point. So we can see that her spine angle has an upward trend. And then we also take a look at her shaft angle. It's going to have an even more upward trend, which I am a big fan of. And this is something I would like to see more amateurs try to do, because now you take a look at that shaft angle, it wants to hit it more up. Now, it could be because she has some wrist manipulation at an impact. We'll have to take a look. Or it could be the way she moves her body slightly. We'll figure this out as we move along. But if you want to check your setup, most of the time I see amateurs make this mistake where they get that club in this forward-leaning position, so their hands are out in front. And what this does now is it makes your spine want to hit up, but then your shaft want to hit more down relative to your spine, and that is going to cause some manipulations. Now, there's a couple ways you can get out of that, and a lot of the tour pros, specifically PGA, because they have a lot more upper body strength, is they stop falling back and tilting and carrying that angle to an extreme position. But the amateurs, they really can't do that, so they have to slide left and to make that golf ball realign with their chest, and then comes the throw. And you know who. But like a fool, I erased all my lines, but let's just go ahead and draw that back brace line, and we'll do one at the impact line, and we'll just take a look at where her shaft angle returns. So we'll do this one in the Ivan Red. So let's take a look now. As we take that club back, we see again, this is a great motion because she's staying in her initial spine angle, which is Ivan Red. She's not sliding over, and I think the camera moves slightly, but she's not sliding over. And what a great thing here is look at how much turn she is able to create with that there. So we have a massive amount of shoulder rotation. Let's see how much shoulder rotation. Good for government work. So we have about 116 degrees. I might even be more. Let's just redraw that because I think that's where her shoulders go. So she has, 130 degrees of shoulder rotation. Now, if you take a look at those hips are not turning a lot. So if we're going to do another good for government check, and this is going to be close enough, I don't think it's 20 degrees, but it's clearly not in the 40s or 50s range. So you're probably looking at about 100 degrees of X factor. Why is that important? Because that is the torque that you're able to build up. That is the elasticity. You're stretching your muscles out. Now, they don't act like a rubber band. They don't bounce back. But the wider you can stretch out your muscle fibers, when you contract them, they carry more surface area, and that's how you deliver a lot of power. This is where the ladies make up for the lack of the upper body strength by using their flexibility. And man, if we get in these positions, guys out there, ain't gonna happen. But the great thing about this top position too, and this is something that you'll find a very good amount of time at this level, and we'll draw this in Trump Orange, you can see that this club just barely gets past parallel, but in relation to her turn of her shoulders, it is nowhere near the turn parallel. So her turn parallel, if she was truly to get that club parallel to her turn, it would be back there. So she is still well connected by eliminating that excess arm motion. Now this is key because it allows you to keep your hands more out in front of your chest as you make that transition, more out in front of the chest as you get down to impact, and there's less crossing of the chest, there's less throwing of the hands. That's where the amateur will make mistakes, is they don't have that body turn, they don't have the shoulder turn, and they say you got to get the club to parallel. So if I turn it 80 degrees, I've got to get that club to parallel. Now all of a sudden it's gone way past parallel. They've disconnected. As they drive down, guess who's coming back to dinner? So while we've got that out the way, so at home you want to look at, do you turn or do you weight shift? And there's no wrong way or right way. It's whatever your way works. And some of us lack flexibility, and those that do lack flexibility have to use some side-to-side motion to help with some weight distribution. But this is great. And I heard her talk about thinking that she's loading on her left side. So she is a left side player. She stays left and drives left. So there's more than one way to skin a cat. That's basically what we're trying to say. But let's take a look at that lower body action. Let's use Trump Orange again, and let's take a look and see, do we go to that impact line originally with the lower body first? So we can see right away, there goes that lower body. It's trying to find that impact line. Now it's not going to move as much because she is more of a rotational player. So we do get that slight lean. Now the slight lean is important because it has also shifted her centeredness closer to the golf ball. So if you look at the center of her shirt, it is here. If we go back to the start of the swing, we can see where her centeredness is here. So that slight shift could account to get that club back to being perpendicular with her shoulder tilt. So we could see a little bit of that. So let's go back down to that first move down, and we can see as we get in this position, a great way to check yourself. Now there's obviously ball position is going to play a huge part, because even though this camera angle is slightly to our 7 or 8 o'clock angle, the ball position is clearly out towards her left foot, and it was pretty close to her spine angle at address. Let's clear these lines up real quick for a second and try to explain this. So if you take a look at her shoulder tilt at this point, and you take a look at where the center of the shoulder tilt is, it is basically at that golf ball. Now why is this important? Because what we see is not really the case. We see somebody that says, oh, you've got a great lag, your club is parallel to the ground, you're carrying 90 degrees of lag, but that's not the case because she is tilted on her axis. So if you take a look in relation to her spine angle and her shoulder tilt, that is telling you where the bottom of the circle. Her bottom of the circle is right here. It is not down there. So we have to look at how much angle she's carrying at this point. So if we redraw this in our Ivan Red, we can see that her angle is much more. She's carrying 103 degrees of angle. Now, how is this possible? Because she's tilting correctly. She has not disconnected her arms from her centeredness. If she disconnected her arms and she's turning and tilting, her hands had better start moving and catching up to that center of the wheel. And if you do that, you increase your hand speed. Once you increase your hand speed, what happens to your wrist angle? It starts to let go, because the more you increase the hand speed, the more power is built up here, and your wrists aren't strong enough. They start to let go of that. So that's where we start to cast and lose our angles, because our hand speed is too busy trying to catch up. And no Popeye arm, unless your Mrs. Havenkamp, no arm is Popeye-like to hold that angle. So this is key. So look at your swing and see where you are at this point. And as we get down into impact, now she is connected to her angles. And let's draw a new degree and see where she is sitting. So her angle is 6 degrees, and that is a really good angle retention once you get to meet your centeredness. So if you want to see your angle retention, you might be negative. You might be forcing the other way, because guess who came to dinner? And once we strike the golf ball, now let's just take a look in Gumby Green. Look at that shoulder tilt, allowing the hands to get out in front, which is going to be centered to her chest. She is now getting a natural forward press. So this is probably why she had to feel like she can back press, because she does this great job of carrying over angles correctly and staying centered. She's not moving around left to right. And as she comes on through, there goes her hands to catch up now. And now we see this nice full, pretty straight extension. And let's see, just for giggles, let's see how long she carries that centeredness. And she has a nice high finish, so she is still relatively centered to her chest, and you can see how much her whole body is facing her target. So the thing I want you to take away from this video is you don't need brute force to hit the golf ball pretty far. For her size, for her stature, for her build, she hits the ball far enough. She's 265, 270, and that's plenty far. Remember, the average scratch handicap golfer in the United States hits the ball 250, so you don't need an exaggerated amount of length. It helps, but it's not the be-all end-all. Don't fall down this YouTube rabbit hole and venture to try and gain distance, because you are stuck with what you are stuck with. I can't teach you to paint like Picasso when you're too busy filling in numbers with some paint sticks. But I hope that helps you. Do yourself a favor, go get a local coach, support the local coach. They have families to feed, and there's plenty of information out there on YouTube, but just be careful what you apply, including my stuff. Hope that helps you. I'll see you next time. Don't forget, yellow. Let me know what we should call it. Just because the banana's in the way, we gotta go with banana yellow, but I'll take your suggestions. We'll come up with another vote for Everest and Greens.